Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative is speaking to Andrew Fuller, who is the winner of Is It Cake, which just dropped recently on Netflix. Thank you so much for doing this. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me. I love it.
And we're doing this. This is an interview that's not at 5 a.m., by the way.
You really would not have liked what you got. I'm telling you right now.
Should we explain the context of that? Just leave it up to like interpretation for the viewers who have no idea.
I'm a man of mystery, so I say let's let the people figure that one out.
I mean, who doesn't love a baking competition? But the one thing that kind of stood out, because I do have questions about your journey and everything. And congratulations, by the way, because it's amazing. But I think the comedy component of this stood out to me. So I'm curious if that kind of stood out to you when you were presented the opportunity to join this, because of SNL, Mikey Day, and the judges were like, it was like a baking show with a lot of comedy. Did you like notice that at all early on?
Well, first of all, I love that you're actually asking questions that I haven't already been asked a million times. So that is awesome. I mean, how can you have somebody like me win a show that's not comedy filled? Let's be honest. I am a walking clown. I didn't get to know that it was Mikey Day until the literal minute that the cameras were rolling.
Wow.
So it was a super, like, our reactions to him being there were pretty authentic.
Yeah.
But I think that that's like kind of what makes this thing stand out a little bit more. Is like we're very self-aware. The show is very self-aware.
Well, let's be honest, right? We watched them all, but it's saturated. Like, there's a lot of baking competition shows out there.
Yeah. And you got to do something that's a little bit different. And I think that people, if you have read any articles, people really wanted to hate it. Everyone wanted to hate it. And in fact, they said they hated it before they had a chance to watch it. And now they're like hating themselves for loving it.
Well, okay, that interests me because a lot of people can make an argument that the show's premise, right, was based on a trend that was very popular, like on TikTok, right? Because that's how I found out, right? There was all these like random things that came up my For You page that was just like toilet paper, but oh no, it's a cake. You know what I mean?
And then they turned it into a show. Yeah, I mean, that's not wrong. That's absolutely what it is. Listen, this thing called a pandemic happened, a global pandemic happened. And I guess cake artists like me were really bored and out of work because nobody was throwing parties. So we just started losing our minds and walking around our house and picking up random items and being like, should I turn this into a cake? I think that's what started this whole thing.
What's your mindset? Because you said cake artist, and the cakes that you make is just unbelievable. So much detail and everything.
Thank you.
And I'm hoping you can be honest with me right now, because you're a cake artist, right? There's the cake component, but there's the artist component. Is it 50-50 down the middle in terms of like half of it is about make what it looks like, and then half of it is like what it tastes like? Like, I'm just wondering about that. I'm curious.
It's funny, and I think that they even maybe addressed that on the show, but there's somewhere along the way, there started this stigma where if a cake was really cool looking, it couldn't taste really good. So I personally believe that it's really important to like blow people's minds with this cake that there's no way it can be a cake. But then when they take a bite out of the cake and they're like, oh, wow, it actually tastes as good as it looks. That's really awesome. However, I am here for the artistic side of it. I live for the artistic side of it.
But you understood where I was coming from with that question.
Yeah. My God. I mean, do you know how many people they're like, I've actually had people refer me to, like, before they'd ever tasted my cakes, they refer me to others and they say, oh, I mean, it's purely for looks. Like, this isn't you're not doing this for cake. And I'm like, hey, no, you're doing it for flavor. I make good cake.
Well, I remember watching like Cake Boss.
Yeah.
And the amount of like, Rice Krispie treats were used.
Yeah.
Like,
on it, Rice Krispie treats. There's no cake.
That was literally...
No Cake Boss, but I'm coming for your gig with actually good tasting cakes.
Okay,
Listen, I'm Mr. Smack Talk. That's what they call me, Mr. Smack Talk, so I got to keep doing it.
But it was like, where's the cake? Like, that definitely was a thing. Like, it was like Rice Krispie treats and fondant.
Yeah. And then, like, as a person who does this in the real world, people don't, they expect actual cake, but they want it to look like these crazy things that are made out of Rice Krispie treats. So you really gotta, like, you gotta know what you're doing.
You get the confirmation from whoever it may be that you're going to be on Is It Cake on Netflix. It's confirmed, right? Like not even like you're not there yet. Like you know, you had dinner that night knowing that you were going to be on the show. Okay.
Okay.
What is like, are you a very competitive person? Did you see it kind of as an opportunity, an exposure opportunity? Was the mindset? Because, you know, even if you don't, people that don't win, I mean, you can't answer this. I mean, you won, but it's good for everyone involved, right? Like opportunities and everything being on these shows, right?
Well, this one in particular, yeah. However, I mean, again, you can't look like me and not have some things that you got to prove, you know? And people look at me and they're like, this guy's a joke. He's the guy that they brought on the show because he's silly to look at. And so I'm super competitive. Like I try not to be like aggressively competitive, but I have something to prove. And I've bombed on national television before, so I really didn't want to do that again. But yeah, I mean, this is like a massive hit. So just all of us just being on it.
Yeah, just to be on it. Absolutely. And because I think the amount of like, as an outlet, the amount of pitches we get from like people being like, you know, they have a new record coming out, you know, contestant on The Voice and like stuff like that, right? Like they didn't win The Voice, but they were on The Voice and they got some gigs because of The Voice, you know what I mean? And they got opportunities. Like that was like the one, when I got this interview confirmed with you, I was just wondering what the specific mindset was. Was it just kind of like, okay, I got to win this whole thing? Or was it just like, cool, like this is going to be cool for me?
Let's be honest. I am a person who's riddled with doubt and insecurity, and I pretend like I'm not. And so I was so excited when I got on the show and I found out that the format was that they don't send people home because I never intended to win anything. I thought that I was going to bomb repeatedly, but at least I got to stay and have fun and talk to people. So yeah.
Is it okay? So you might be able to disclose these things. I mean, how long ago was this like shot? Like, this is obviously a big secret, obviously, that you won. Like you knew you won, and you're kind of playing the waiting game.
Actually, I love that question too because, I live in Des Moines, Iowa. I filmed in Hollywood. I had this like whole entire experience that I knew, or at least thought, was going to change the entire course of my life. And then I just kind of had to go back to Iowa and just get looked at by people like, who's this weirdo walking down the street with no idea. And like having to keep that inside. It's been an excruciating long wait for the show to come out.
Yeah. Well, like 3-4 months?
Longer. We filmed in June. I know. I started to believe that this never really happened. Like I when I started seeing the trailers and the photos, I was like, okay. I'm not insane. This actually, I'm insane. But this actually did happen.
Oh, absolutely. No, it's so crazy. And I do know like a lot of people that follow you on Instagram, your Instagram has just kind of like exploded, which is
overnight. Yeah.
Well, I mean, you're gonna say like, oh, I'm surprised. Like, no, you're like, you shouldn't be that surprised. I mean, #1 on Netflix for like 5 days in a row, right? Like,
yeah, but you're wrong. I'm so surprised. I can't deal with it. None of us can deal with what's going on right now. Okay. When we did the show, I was like,
well, there's the idea, there's a possibility that it could blow up, right? Like that's always the back of your head.
Absolutely, sure.
Yeah.
But I think that I was just like, I've done shows and like, I was like, oh, okay. Nobody really cared that much. I didn't win them either. So I thought maybe this would be a little bit different, but I don't think any of us knew like how giant this was going to be.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It was one of those things too, where Netflix does just an amazing job of, the things that are coming out soon, and it just shows up. And like, I remember like the I think it was like the poster with like the rubber duck was what they used. Yeah. And like, that just kind of sucked me in. I'm like, I'm in, you know what I mean? Like I watch all the baking shows, everything. You kind of answered this a little bit, but like, for people that follow you also on Instagram and everything, you're into a lot of different things, and a lot of the cakes that you post about are pretty insane, pretty crazy. A lot like in the horror genre and stuff as well. You're a big horror fan, horror culture fan?
I mean, I am a big
like,
horror fan. Yeah, I am definitely one of those weirdos that lives my life like Halloween is it's a
well,
lifestyle. You know.
I'm like horror movies, like my favorite movies of all
Okay,
time.
so we can hang out. We can hang
I'm
out.
pumped about this. What? Okay, here's the thing, Andrew. I could tell you what like I can't tell you maybe what my favorite horror movie of all time is because there's too many. There's like 6 or 7 of them. I can't tell you the scariest one I've ever seen because there's a difference, right? There's a big difference between and the scariest one that I've seen is The Strangers with Liv Tyler and Scott Speedman.
And because it's so actually something that can happen to you.
I slept in my room with my lights on for like 2-3 days.
I think that that was my entire childhood is that I was afraid of something like that happening. I totally was like Macaulay Culkin in Home Alone, but only I thought that murderers were going to come into my house and kill me. And so that movie definitely terrified me as an adult.
Are you into like what would you say is like the go ahead? I mean, you obviously you like a lot of the classic traditional horror, like the monsters and all that.
I love it all. I love like the old movie monsters, like Frankenstein and Dracula. I like the black and white stuff. I like gory horror movies, which a lot of people don't like, and I like campy horror movies. And then I like things that are just like cultural iconic films. My favorite, I say all the time, my favorite scary movie is Psycho because it was the movie that started my love for horror.
Absolutely. It's so crazy because I was born in 1991, so I'm basically 2005 was like a huge year for me for horror movies because I was 14, so I was able to go see all the PG-13 movies, right?
And 14 in 2005? Get away from me.
I'm sorry. But it's interesting though because I've been doing these like House of Wax, Amityville Horror, Dark Water. All of these came out that I saw in the theater.
Oh, Dark Water! You're naming good ones.
Yeah, The Exorcism of Emily Rose. Like it was just like it was.
Such a good movie.
But I was allowed to see them all.
Let's just talk about horror movies. I think that's what we should do. Actually,
there's so many good ones. There's one. My favorite one, maybe it would be really cool. You definitely should be in a horror movie. I'd be like making a cake for someone or something. Yeah, that would be
I would, as long as I get to be murdered brutally.
But Dinner Party Gone Wrong is like my favorite genre of horror movies because there's a lot of those.
Oh yeah.
There's a movie from 2015. It was on Netflix for a while called The Invitation. Have you seen that?
It's like Niles is in it, right?
Yeah.
Like Niles and Frasier.
No, that's another one. That's The Guest. That one's
good.
I
know I've seen The Invitation. Tell me about it.
The Invitation, it's like basically friends reunite, but there's a weird thing with like they haven't seen each other for a while, and there's a big breakup among the friend group, and there's a new like husband there, and it's kind of culty feels.
Okay, yes, I do remember. Yeah, such a good movie.
It is so amazing. Before we wrap up, too, I have a fun one I really wanted to ask you very quickly. Speed round. I mean, I want you to name 3 people right now. I want you to name one person that you want. It's very interesting. I want you to name one person that you would want to eat cake with.
Okay.
Make a cake with.
Okay.
And watch baking competition shows with. Because there's 3 different things. So
okay.
I'm hoping you get 3 different answers.
Okay, I know it. I think I have it. I'm not going to think about it because that's how I work best. Okay. I want to make... do you want me to do it in order? I'm not doing it in order. I want to make a cake with Guillermo del Toro.
That's a good
because
answer.
I think his creativity is so inspiring, and I live for the way he creates and like he has the room. I don't know if you know about this, but he has a room with like a window that's always stormy.
Yes,
and like he gets creative juices from that. And my cake studio, which is opening soon, is all about spooky, crazy, and it's just for me. It's just for a place to create. So that's who I would pick for who I would make it with. I would eat the cake with Tim Burton just because he's inspired me so much, and he should get to taste my cake.
These are like chef kiss answers. I'm just letting you know.
Okay, good. Good. And then I think I would watch a horror movie, or was it like watch a movie?
No, sorry. Watch a baking competition show, or is it cake with? Yeah.
I would totally hands down choose Elvira, because she has the most tongue-in-cheek, campy responses to everything, and I want to hear her roast me in the you know.
Oh, those are great answers. Andrew, this was a blast. Thank you so much for coming on Popternative.
Absolutely. Have me on anytime.
It was so good. So if they haven't watched it, Is It Cake is streaming now on Netflix.
Go watch it.
So they can check it out. And speaking of your Instagram, where can people follow you? Can you plug away like the studio, the Instagram, plug away everything?
Sugar Freak Show all over the place. Just look up Sugar Freak Show on Instagram, Sugar Freak Show on TikTok, all that stuff. That's the place to find me.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative, youtube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Until next time, this is Andrew Fuller from Is It Cake on Netflix and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.